Hey guys, I'm Mrs. Delavecchia, and before we start, I want to remind you to take notes using the guided notes that are in your unit packet. Those notes will be a part of your grade. If you have any questions, write them down and we'll go over them in class. So let's get started. All right, in this lesson, we're going to talk about parallel lines and transversals. So a transversal is simply a line that intersects two or more lines. So the transversal is this sideways one that's intersecting these other two lines. So which one of these lines is the transversal? Okay, A only is hitting one other line. B only hits one other line. So the transversal is the one that's hitting both of them. So C is the transversal. It doesn't have to be, it could be like this, right? It could be sitting in any direction. And in this case, this line would be the transversal because it's hitting two others. All right, so we're going to talk about how to find and what we call all these different angle measures in a situation like this. So corresponding angles, angles that are in a matching positions. In other words, the yellow ones are both on the top left, the green ones are on the top right, the blue ones are on the bottom left, the red ones are on the bottom right. So those are all the same relative position. I like to think of it as if I took all of these angles and rewrote them on this set of angles. They would be right on top of each other. So they are in the same relative spot. All right, our alternate exterior angles. Now the good part about all these definitions, the name of it kind of tells you what it is. Alternate exterior. They are on the alternate side of the transversal. All right, they alternate this transversal, and they are on the outside of the parallel lines. Exterior, they're on the outside of the parallel lines. So these ones are alternate exterior angles. Alternate interior, then they are on the alternate sides, the opposite sides of the transversal, and on the inside of the parallel lines. Okay, so for alternate interior angles, 4 and 6, they are on the alternate sides of the transversal on inside of the parallel lines. So 4 and 6 are alternate interior, and 3 and 5 are alternate interior. Consecutive interior angles, the same side interior. So 4 and 5, they're on the same side of the transversal. Right here, they're on the same side of the transversal, and they are between the parallel lines. So 4 and 5 are consecutive interior. I usually say same side interior, and then 3 and 6 are same side interior angles. All right, which of these angle relationships are congruent? Actually, most all of them except for one combination, which we'll get to at the end. But again, corresponding angles. So 1 and 5 are corresponding, as well as 2 and 6, 4 and 8, 3 and 7. And all of those angle relationships will be congruent. Also, alternate exterior angles. This pink is just one example. 2 and 8 and 1 and 7 are both alternate exterior, and they are 1 and 7 are congruent, 2 and 8 are congruent. 1 and 2 are not congruent. That's a linear pair. So it's 1 and 7 and 2 and 8 are the alternate exterior relationships. Okay, alternate interior. So 4 and 6 alternate interior, and 3 and 5 would be also congruent to each other. Then your supplementary angles. The only ones out of all of these that are supplementary is your consecutive interior or same side interior. So 3 and 6 would add up to 180, and 4 and 5 would add up to 180. All right, so if we only have one of these angle measures, we can find all of them. So how are we going to do that? I would start with 65 and 8. Those are vertical angles, so they would be congruent. 7 and 8 are a linear pair. So those two, these guys need to add up to 180. So 180 minus 65. Okay. That is 115. So 7 is going to be 115. And 115 and 5 are vertical angles. So they would equal. So once I have these 4 angles, the other 4 are all corresponding. So I would automatically have those. So number 1 would be 115. 2 would be 65. 4 would be 65. And then 7 would be 115. And there's other ways you could figure it out, but that's just one way. Of course, remembering alternate interior are congruent, so that works. Alternate interior are congruent. Alternate exterior are congruent. Alternate exterior are congruent. And then same side interior would be 180. Same side interior would be 180. So no matter which way you look at it, you would get the right numbers. All right, now we're only given these two. So the first step is, what is this angle relationship? These are alternate exterior angles. Remembering the only ones that are supplementary would be these same side interior or anything that's making up a linear pair. Okay, now these are alternate exterior angles, so they are congruent. And when I have congruent angles, I can set them equal to each other, because we know congruent means they are equal in measure. All right, now I've got an equation, variable on both sides. Get the x to one side, and now move away the number away from the variable. Divide through by the coefficient, and I get x equals 12. Now we didn't have directions whether or not we were supposed to find the angle measure, but we'll just solve for x. Okay, so based on their relationship, these are congruent, so congruent things means equal in measure, so we can set their measures equal to each other. All right, what would this relationship be? This is same side interior. That's the relationship that is supplementary. So my equation would be to say add them up, and they need to equal 180 because they are supplementary. Add the x's. Solve this. Subtract 20 from both sides. Divide by 5. X equals 5 times 3 is 15. That's 1 left over. 5 times 2 is 10. X equals 32. And again, you could substitute in and find each individual angle measure after that. All right, could we find all of these angle measures? Well, I bet we can. I want to first look here right off the bat. I'm going to know that these two are a linear pair, so that's 180 minus 58. That is 123. I'm sorry, 122 for here. Now then, how could I get something else? Well, I'm going to treat this as my transversal, and these are my lines. So that means this angle and this angle are alternate interior angles, which means they're congruent. So A is going to be 58 degrees. Okay, I'm going to look then here. This line is going to act like a transversal. This one is 48 degrees. Alternate interior angles again, so this one must be 48 degrees. And then for the last one, it would be part of this linear pair, which would be all of that needs to equal 180. So I'm going to have 180 minus 48 and minus 58. So I'm taking, let me just combine that. I've got 90, 16, that's 106. And that would be 74. So angle C would be 74 degrees. All right, here's another one. Pause this and see if you can find all these angle measures. All right, right off the bat, I would notice that angle C is a vertical angle with 100 degrees. So I can put that there. All right, what do I notice next? I'm going to focus on this transversal. And there's my two lines. So for B, what I'm noticing here is that these two angles are corresponding. They are in the same position. So they would also, this would also have to be 60 degrees. Okay, and once I have that, now I have this entire thing here has to be a linear pair. We've already got 160 taken up with those two angles, so that only leaves 20 degrees for angle A. And that could match up as well, because if this, for this transversal, angle A and angle 20 would be corresponding as well. So that all works out. All right, and that brings us to the end of this lesson. Let me know what questions you have, and we will practice in class. Have a great day. Bye-bye.